I'm so just excited to talk to you and to meet you officially, one-on-one. Um, and it's pretty cool what's happening with the book, with our Courageous Changemakers books. That's pretty awesome. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
two categories, right? I think we're
three
at the
now.
top there.
Yeah, we're in three now, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, three. All right.
Yeah. So I have a million questions after reading your chapter again. It's so exciting, but I think if you
Okay.
don't mind, I'd like you to start and talk a little bit about, I mean, I know in the chapter, but talk a little bit about what you want people to know about you.
Hmm. Wow. I think it's important that we're, on the planet to do our life's work. And I think our life is about discovering what that is. And mine, I would like to say it came easily, but it really didn't. I was on a different track, but I think spirit kept kind of moving me over to to another realization. So I was in the fashion industry and just loved it and just knew, every color that was in the moment and knew all the fashions. But I really didn't feel confident when I got dressed myself. And I thought, there's got to be an answer for me to figure myself out. So when I go to shop for something, that I'm finding something that feels like me. And at the time, I didn't realize how important it was. But if we look at the realm of how we're created on the planet, there's only one of us. This is the life we're leading. And the in terms of the change makers, we're changing ourself to be more of ourself. Because since we're born, right, we're given an invitation to be everybody else around us. We model ourselves after our mother or our sister or a great aunt. Then we're in school, and then we have the age we are, and what everybody else is doing our age. But no one really said, well, this is really what you look like, Jennifer. And I felt it was a template. I mean, there's a template to a pattern, right, to understanding a lot of things in life. But what is the pattern to understanding myself? And I didn't realize, I mean, looking at again what the culture teaches, it's a very strong word to say, what are you attracted to? Right? It's very powerful. Oh, I'm attracted to this food, or I'd like to travel to this place. It feels like it's real. And yet, if I dress by what I'm attracted to, is often my opposite.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
attracted to the opposite of who I am. So then I dress that as opposed to myself. And that's why the change maker part has to do with shifting from the outer reference, which is what's happening in the fashion industry and what image do I want to portray, to the inner self, which is based in I am the perfect creation as myself. And if I mirror my own coloring, then I become more of myself.
Wow.
So I take away all that attraction, right, that outer stimulus, and move back to myself. And that's where the power is. That's where the empowerment is. And that's
My
really where
goodness,
the transformation is.
that's pretty powerful there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the questions I have, and you touched on it now and also in your chapter, is we're drawn to colors. My sister and I knit. And so when we go to a knitting store together, she goes to
Yeah.
green, I go to blue. And I
Okay.
wear many, many shades of blue. And when I'm feeling stressed, I put on blue. Um, but so I'm drawn to it. But you also said in the book, in your chapter, that that doesn't mean it's your.
That is accurate. See, if it were so accurate, you would tell me I have this amazing closet full of clothes and everything to wear. But that isn't the common languaging for most women. They have a closet full of clothes and nothing to wear because their own divine reflection isn't in there, right? They've dressed themselves as a compromise. Oh, I have to dress this way because I'm meeting my boyfriend's in-laws and I can't be too much, right? So we're either too much or we're not enough. if I'm too much, then I'll wear colors that don't bring me forward. And if I'm too much, then I'll dress in colors that kind of hide me. So both ways, there's not a great win. Also in the family structure, if we look at our mother, my mother was totally the opposite of me. So I'll show you my color palette. So we'll look at what I wore instead of this. So you'll see this beautiful color peach. Well, I wore her pink, and pink does not like me back. I wore magenta instead of this red. Magenta actually creates a lot of nervous energy for me. And lots of people look great in magenta, but it's not my color. And then I thought my eyes were brown, and they're really this beautiful amber right in here. And so I thought, wow, I've lived with myself all these years, and yet I still didn't have an accurate picture of out-picturing of myself. And that's what happens when people do the palette. I'm trained through just the discernment of the human pigmentation to see what your real coloring is. So it's not about do you like it or don't you like it? It's about looking at what works.
So you had beautiful words in your chapter, and you said that it's a sacred relationship. Well, that's so powerful, and it was so uplifting between your hair, your eyes, and your skin.
Mhm.
And so to start that, did you look really seriously at your eyes and your skin? Did you hold up a color wheel? Um,
Yeah, well, I work with 4,000 colors. So it's a huge library. And, my hair, when I started this, was dark brown. Now it's this platinum silver.
Beautiful color.
But I feel like if someone were to begin, like even if you took out your foundation or even went to a makeup counter, most people don't take the foundation and turn it around and hold it up in a mirror. So then I would see, oh, okay, this foundation is too pink for my skin. This foundation is too orange, and this one kind of merges with my skin. And that's what we're looking for. It feels at first almost like a Band-Aid because we're not in a way used to something that so is us, right? That it takes a minute to recognize it. When Suzanne, the person who created this, did my palette, I'd had my colors 10 times. So I thought, oh no, why am I going to do this again? And my boyfriend at the time said to me, it's really important. She's the master colorist on the planet. She's the one that recognized that color is your essence. It's your essential being. And so she's the one that gave me a palette very close to this one. And I had never been given peach skin and the right red and the gold of my eyes. These aren't really very winter colors. So that's why the colors are always done individually. But the other really important part that I really want people to know about is, to me, life is a soul's journey. And the soul is on one hand, our higher self. I love what you wrote in the title of your, the kindness, right? That's so important to have that kindness. But there's an inner light that comes alive when we thank the universe for our own creation and we wear our own coloring. That's what ignites authenticity. And people don't realize that clothing is so tied into it. It's all the same. It's all vibration. There's a vibration to the tone of my voice, and there's a vibration to the way I walk, right? All of my expression. So we're looking for what is the constellation of colors that put you on the planet.
My goodness. Talk about that more. That's so powerful what you just said. It kind
I
of,
know, right?
yeah.
Well, remember, there was a time when they had what they called their harmonic convergence. And it was a time when it's like the planets, there was a huge alignment, and we all were celebrating it. Well, you're the harmonic convergence as yourself, right? There's this bundle of energy that ended up in color that created you in physical form. And what we call the sacred triad is your hair. So your hair is a beautiful brown. So let's say you buy brown pearls. Or you decide, I really love the brown of my hair. I think I'm going to buy a pair of slacks, or I'm going to buy a pantsuit. I'm going to buy a pair of shoes or a raincoat, because the hair color is what is the foundation of our life, right? Then we have the eyes. Now, you talked about blue. So let's say your eyes are blue, but let's say they could even be green. Let's say they're a pine needle green, and blue becomes an accent color. So it's a color that, let's say you're looking for yarn and you find beautiful brown, you find a beautiful pewter gray, and you say, okay, I want to add some color. I think I'll add this beautiful kind of Wedgwood blue, or I'll add a sky blue. That's what we call accent, right? And then we have the skin tone, which is self-love and intimacy. So there's three very fundamental things. Here's the sacred triad that are in balance with each other. To paint your skin tone, I would add your hair color or your eye color. So that's how directly related they are.
What do you mean paint it? How?
Well, I'm trained to paint the colors. That's what gives me the accuracy. So let's say I look at your eyes, they're green, they're a pine green. And I look at your skin and it has pink in it, right? Like you're wearing today. And I said, I think I'll take a pink and a green. And when I paint them together, I end up with your hair color.
Really?
And along the way, I end up with your skin tone.
Oh, wow.
So, right, it's very magical. And I have a painting class that's happening now, and all the girls are painting, these 10 shades of red and 5 shades of green, and then they're merging them together to see what happens. And we would either get the brown of your hair, we get your skin tone, and we get your hair color just by merging the green of your eyes with the brown of your hair, green and brown, or green and red, whatever.
So when you get done doing that, does the person feel differently, like at home, or it's not
I
just
think they have different reactions depending on what choices they've made before. Like for me, when I got my peach skin tone, I thought, well, I don't like peach as much as I like pink. But I realized that when I held up the pink, it just wasn't harmonious with me. Like you learn a new context for seeing yourself in the world. And that context is, I'm the only one on the planet. I'm a work of art. I'm whole and complete as I am. That's your higher self speaking, right? The ego is saying, well, I feel older today. I wish my hair were curlier. I wish my hair were straighter. And that doesn't really get us to the master class of self-discovery, right?
So I dye my hair. Many people do, because a couple reasons. When my mom passed, she had red hair, and my sister and I have auburn in her hair, but we wanted to honor her. But then also now I dye it because when I let it grow, it's whiter on my face. I don't really know what color it is in here, but I feel it makes me look so much older that I don't want to be there yet. Or
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
so.
I understand. Well, how are we viewing the conversation? So it's a very valued opinion, right, that you have that feels substantiated. Because let's say you were to go gray and you did it for 6 weeks, and then we talked again, you say, I still feel that way. So what you've done accurately is the shade of brown is accurate for your skin tone. If you said to me, I'm going to dye my hair red, right, then that would create a little bit of dissonance, right? Or if you said, I want to do my hair blonde, then that would also create the dissonance. But the hair color you have now is in keeping with your skin tone, and it's in balance with your eyes. So it's lovely.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's pretty reassuring.
Yeah, I have many people who say to me, I'll never go gray. My teacher never did. She was a redhead. She was an autumn, and gray wouldn't have never been appropriate for her. So she had, at the end of her life, all these different shades of wigs, right, with different shades of the red hair that all went with her skin tone. So, and then I've had people that have gone gray and never been happier. right? So it's a very personal journey. And I think you've chosen well, because this is what's having you be happy now and feel youthful, right? So when I went gray, I am happier because my hair was a dark brown. The hair, skin, and eyes, when they age gracefully, they do it in harmony with each other. So what's happening is my hair was too dark for my skin,
When you
and it looked
aged or
harsh.
always? Excuse
It
me.
looked harsh on me, right?
Uh,
And I said, I went to my hairdresser and I said, I want to go gray. And he said to me, you know, you live near Hollywood. Why are you choosing that? I said, it's time. And so I let my hair grow out really, really short, and I cut it all off, and I've never looked back. So that's me. But I've had friends who've gone gray, and they called me up and said, no, I don't want to do it. I said, congratulations. But there's still a color that's going to be harmonious with your skin and eyes. And that's the key that you're asking. Oh, you're holding up, say, you know how they have in the hair salon, they have all those hair charts. You hold them up in the mirror. You can say, oh, wow, I can see this chart. There's too much red. This one, there's too much yellow. And then you hone it in until it's what it is now, which is beautiful for you. Good
Thank
job.
you. So I'm gonna guess also, like I look around now and say, I thought my skin looked younger than everybody, and now look at all my wrinkles, and no, not so much. But that, you feel better about that, I'm gonna guess,
Yeah, so
when you're in alignment?
I am. I think what happens is the facial structure is going to change, right, with what else is happening in the body. And what happens is when you have curlier hair, more texture to the skin, it allows you to wear more texture. So you can wear more texture in the fabric of your blouse, or you can wear more texture in the jewelry, and then everything will be in sync.
I wanna make sure I got that. So when you have your more wrinkles, more
Yeah.
texture, then you
Uh-huh.
can wear more texture? Is that
Yeah.
what you?
Yeah. Right. If you're, let's say you decide, I think I'm going to make my hair 3 different shades of brown. You wear more texture, you wear more design. So you're just moving with the design of the body and the coloring that you have, and honoring a change. You know, an autumn leaf doesn't feel bad about itself, right? So Mother Nature, that's why the work comes from Mother Nature, because she gives us our nature. And she teaches us, when we look at her, that we're okay. The world's all right, right? That Mother Nature, because she gives us the key to ourself, we shift from I'm getting older to I have wrinkles to what am I going to do about my hair color? Just saying, if I'm okay with the world, right? That's a spiritual principle. The world is okay with itself. I'm all right with myself. Then we look and say, oh, wow, I'm taking this brown hair that I have now, and I'm going to buy a pair of shoes. I'm going to buy a beautiful brown wood necklace. I'm going to buy a brown handbag. And then you look in the mirror and you feel like yourself. It's really magical.
Well, it's interesting also, that you're saying shoes or your purse. It's not, I would guess that the bigger way it can be visible is your shirt, your, what,
Yes. Now you could look for a cashmere sweater. You could look for like a trench coat, or a car coat, whatever you like to wear. Um, some people look for their hair color in a sweatshirt. It's looking at, because the hair color is foundational, we give you 3 foundational colors. So if we look at my chart, I have the silver of my hair, I have black, and I have a bronze. So I was just talking to someone, we were looking for tennis shoes for people. And so we looked up bronze tennis shoes. And so I have a pair of bronze tennis shoes, and I traveled all over Europe with them. So it also is fun because I can dress all my neutrals, right? That's these 3 right here. Then if I look at my amber, well, I could do an amber top, and I could wear that with my silver. I could wear amber with my red, and I could wear amber with black. So it's being open, I think, to new possibilities. I think that's why people love work, because they become this great artist of themselves, and they feel empowered, and they feel at home. Like, oh, I don't need to change myself. I see that it's all about discovering who I am.
I really appreciate you saying that, because when you first said, well, you may like a color, but you like it. But when you have the right palette or your very own true palette, you feel at home.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's different.
And I'm not saying there's not some judgment about it, or some shift that needs to happen, right? Because a lot of people have lived with a misinterpretation of themselves. And so I give them, because the pigment, right, is what's real. When I mirror that pigment back to them, and then they see it in the mirror too. Like, I would have thought, okay, I will hold a pink up to me, and I hold a peach, and I say, oh, okay, the peach is really what matches. And so it shifts the perception. It shifts your self-perception, which in itself is a miracle, right?
Yes. So at
Yeah.
the beginning of your chapter, you talk about, I think it was 3 different women who increased their appreciation from the lady's husband, and then being able to get advancements and growing businesses. 2 of the ladies were that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'll show you for a minute. I'll show you the vision board. Okay.
okay,
So the one who got all the promotions, this is what she dressed in, right? Which it actually works for me, right? And so this was her whole wardrobe. So when I did her palette, she ended up being this. So that's a very different person. So here's distance. This is distancing. And this is warmth. And this one is warmth and leadership. So when all her things became in this wardrobe, what happened is the head of the company actually saw her, and he looked and said, wow, you have great ideas, right? Because she was owning herself, he could own her ideas, right? And so she got all those promotions. Okay. There was another woman who was, I think, had been ill, right? And she wore the colors. Was that one? So she had been dressed before as this. That was her self-perception. And then she ended up this. So that's a big change.
yes,
So, and because she really loved clothing, she really wore all of this and felt better about herself, right? If she had a wardrobe, like, these colors don't even look good, you can see them on me, right? They don't match up to me. So this is driving her to be a person that she's not, which in itself creates dis-ease and illness. But when she wore these, she felt calm, and she felt centered, and she felt more of herself. And she dressed up every day to feel the upliftment of the energy, because colors is your life force. I was wearing this today to the gym, this outfit I have on. I was at the gym, and this dashing man came over to me, and he said, I've been at this gym for 20 years. I've never seen someone look so remarkable and really uplift this whole place.
oh,
And,
how wonderful.
right? And it was very encouraging, that because that's why I'm doing the colors. It's to uplift myself, but uplift the world. So the I'm dressed is a contribution right now. And that's the invitation for everybody, because we don't realize, number one, how important we are and what a difference we make in other people's lives. So when I saw you in this pink, I felt like, oh, well, this person, I'm going to give her a hug, right? Because you're wearing more your huggable color, and I'm dressed in my support color,
Oh, wow.
right?
So that leads to a question, because I think I told you earlier, if I'm stressed or I'm feeling agitated or out of sync, then I go to blue,
Yes,
because it's just my calming color. And so I
yes.
think the thing there would be to make sure it's the right hue of blue,
Mhm.
not just blue, because it's
Right,
right.
exactly. Yeah, there's many tonal values of, these are my blues, a turquoise and a Ming blue. And when I wear those, I feel really, like it's kind of what we call a high presence color, right? So I feel like my energy's uplifted. You know, sometimes I wear it like when I'm shopping with people, right? And we have to make quick decisions, then I'll wear the blue because it really helps people make that choice. It's like, this is a defining moment here, right? Is this a yes or a no? But I think what I would like to say to everybody who's viewing this is that, you know, clothing is part of a healing art. We're healing ourselves through what we wear. We're healing ourselves by being ourselves. We're healing ourselves by dressing ourselves, which is a contribution to others. So it's really not a selfish act. It's an act of self-nurturing. It's an act of kindness towards yourself, because I'm saying to the universe, you did not make a mistake over here. I am the perfect coloring, and I'm going to wear it and celebrate who I am. And so that invites somebody else to do the same thing, right?
Oh, wow. This is so, it's very profound, but it's also so kind. You know, it's like, it's just wonderful how kind, the kindness is at the core of what you're saying.
So tell me how you feel in this color, because to me, remember the skin tone that you have on, it's like a blush, is the color of kindness, affinity, friendship, and fellowship. That's what you're communicating today, right? And then I'm communicating support. So I'm being there for the audience. Now, obviously, I'm being very dramatic because I'm an artist, and I'm also 76 and I want to be dramatic, right? Define those days in my life. But I love that phrase, prosper kindly. So I was thinking of how that related to the way that we dress. So when you dress yourself kindly, you're not in resistance with yourself. So I'm not saying, oh, you look so beautiful in that pink. I think I'll wear that tomorrow because you looked great in it. Well, that's not really purple. So it brings us back to that a little bit of boundary, self-containment, which in a way, I'm not looking at you for the answer to my life.
I see.
I'm looking within.
So one of the things that you also wrote was the example of the woman that was basically, I think, fundraising for the Hunger Project.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about that you, instead of black or gray, she was in more of a skin tone.
Yeah.
And that you said that that is warming and attractive and calming to people. I'm using my words, not yours. But how do we know those? How would we know those are the different attributes of color or what they attract to people?
Well, the skin tone, and you're wearing a version of it right now, right? So she had her version of it. And what happened, because it's the color of friendship and fellowship, and she at the time was bringing all these different hunger organizations together that had really never met, right? So she wanted to sort of have people feel comfortable with her and comfortable with themselves and comfortable with each other. And that's what occurred. And it happened faster because she set the tone. So as soon as you walk into a room, you're setting a tone, right? So mine today is support, and yours today is fellowship, affinity, and self-love. And those are great qualities to have as a human being and to offer the world on a daily basis. The other thing, and I'll show you here just how a palette is created, because a lot of people have asked that. So what was different about Suzanne is, number one, we were trained to paint everything. So when you paint something, you get the undertone, right? So the undertone of your pink is between a warm and a cool pink. It's not a magenta pink, right? But it's not a golden pink, and it's not an orange. So the palette, this palette is created with a red, yellow, and blue complement. So if you go to study a color wheel, complement. So I am a yellow to violet. So that's how my palette is created, and allows me to create a coordinated wardrobe, because all the colors belong to me and the tonal value relates. I'm not looking at this blue has the intensity.
I'm stuck.
up to you. You say, how does what I'm holding up match an aspect of me? So you start asking a question that creates your mind looking for harmony.
So you said a moment ago, if you know the color wheel. So if I was trying to do this myself, would I get something similar to what you have, or go to a paint store and get all of their colors or something like that and hold it up to my skin? I do that.
Yeah, you can do, when we do paint for the person's home, that's what we do. Let's say they say, oh, I want to do my skin tone in my bedroom. So let's say you get a color fan and you're holding it up. And then as you would look at the oranges, we'd say, well, no, none of those work, right? They don't go with your skin. And then we would start the pinks. Okay, this pink is too purple. And then this one is too yellow. And then we'd hone in till we get the color you're wearing today. Right? But the reference is different. If I am looking at the colors this way, I can never learn the work because I'm objectifying the colors. I need to hold them up to this, right? Because the body is wanting the connection with the mind and with spirit.
So when you're doing that, when
connection.
you found your skin tone, then
Mhm.
do you also hold it up to your hair and then to your eyes?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
And you're looking for the light. It's sort of like, what's the objective? So when we're holding up a color, we want the color to light you up, right? That's the kind of the directions. Does this color bring me down? Like if I hold this up, this just doesn't even go with me. There's no match. If I hold this one up, this one is really too dull. If I hold this one up, it just is, I can't even see my face. Now, if I hold this one up, now I come forward. So it's the commitment to being seen for who you are. That's the other, I mean, to me, it's almost a spiritual principle. I'm committed to being fully expressed. I'm committed to being authentic. I'm committed to being fully myself. So the color is an illumination of you. It's used as a tool, right? Once you make that commitment, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to wear my own coloring. Then you look at colors differently, right? You hold something up and you say, wow, I don't even see myself. Love the color, love orange, right? But it's not resonant with me.
One of my questions that I'm watching you in action is, you're doing this so much of the time. I'm going to guest virtually on Zoom. And I thought, well, how can Jennifer do that? But you're doing it. That's so cool. So you
Yeah,
just,
exactly. I mean, when I do a palette, I have someone really send in really good pictures. They're in the daylight. Um, and then I create a palette as a test for me, right? And then I meet with the person and then I can tell really right away what they are, because I kind of usually narrow it down to two things. And if they dye their hair and it doesn't feel congruent, I actually have them disappear it, right? Because the hair will interfere with the skin tone. So, and I usually, if someone wants to add highlights to their hair, we give them the right highlights that go with the skin and the eyes from dark to light. So I get that, like say someone who has blonde hair, they want a darker blonde, a middle value, and a lighter value. And we give everybody that, right? So they can make choices that feel like they're enhancing. But a lot of it is, we tell a lot of stories. Like I had a woman who said, oh, I don't like, my hair's dishwater blonde and I don't care for that. Well, I've never seen dishwater blonde hair. I've seen hair where someone is wearing colors that are too strong for them, and so their hair color feels dull, right? But it's not like nature's made a mistake. It's not like you look at a pile of rocks and say, okay, well, this rock is not so good, right? We have preferences, we have attractions. I'm not taking that away from us, but they belong in the right context. And in the context of emotional intelligence, I choose to not be run by my emotions. I choose to express them, but my higher intelligence, my higher self is telling me I'm already whole and complete. And if I look at a color from that place, then I'm looking at it from a place of authenticity. I'm not reacting to it. And that's
Well,
where I'm doing the colors from.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow, you're make me want to sign up work with you right now. And it sounds like well, in your chapter, you had talked about how many people you've worked with. And so it's so awesome because you're spreading that love and true self and making such a difference. And so I'm
Yeah.
grateful to you for your,
I think also, we all have a different skin tone. And I know that mine is just the lighter value of somebody's or the darker value. And there's only so many skin tones that create a humanity. And so you can have a very dark African American skin tone, but if you lighten it, you get a person with lighter skin that shares the same pigment at a different value. That's how closely we are. Mankind is related to itself. So when I give a person their colors, they're honoring their heritage, they're honoring themselves, they're honoring the human race, whatever that is. And I think the more I own myself, the more I can accept you for who you are. And I don't have to change you, and you don't have to be different. And even though your skin is rich and beautiful and mine is light, it's they're kindred spirits. We're all kindred spirits.
what do you do when someone has freckles? Um,
Oh, wow. With freckles really usually are part of the hair or skin, right? They're a lighter value. So I have a nephew who has freckles and they're the lighter value of his hair. He just sent me these pictures. He's in his 20s and he's looking for his hair color. So he was sending all these pictures of shorts, right, and t-shirts. I just got it, yesterday because he's very committed to his palette now and wearing it, and he's in the sports field, and it's very inspiring, that we can have the next generation have a new level of self-acceptance and self-appreciation.
right. That's how come my mom had reddish hair, as I said, and she had freckles. She hated her freckles.
Oh, I love it.
I do
Yeah,
too. She
she
didn't
gets
like her
to wear
freckles.
more texture, she gets to wear more complexity, right? She's got it all, really.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, I really appreciate this a lot. So, talk about your business a little bit. I know that you've explained so wonderfully what you do, but your
Mhm.
business must have changed and is thriving as you knew your colors. It sounds like your
Well,
career
first of all,
changed.
I'm creating a new generation. I'm finally training. It's been over 40 years. And it's taken me that long because I feel the world is built on presentation, not authenticity, right? I'm going to do this to present myself. Um, but I invite us to present ourself as ourself, right? That's the finishing of the sentence.
Mhm.
And so I feel people are in a different place. We have a different cherishing of our life and why we're here. And and that's what this work is about. So I'm working with people, especially when they have an important message to get across, or they are going to be on Zoom, or they are going to present to 1,000 people, but they're kind of up to something. They have a mission in life, they have a mission in the world. So that's where I can kind of make a difference. I think in the family structure, I've been doing some families recently, and there's such a different appreciation when you have your own palette. Like, I don't need to wear your colors, right? I can wear mine, but I can appreciate yours. And so there's a huge difference in the human understanding in a family, and even in relationships, in couples. So again, we don't need to change each other, right? There's a level of self-acceptance. So I have a 9-month program where I'm for the very first time, and this is the second year, where we have 12 women who are committed to applying the spiritual principles from the University of Santa Monica, where I attended, to beauty. And this month they're doing each other's wardrobes, and they're getting ready for a trip to LA, right? And they have all this this is the list of what we're going to be doing. How do you want to feel being with your group? You're meeting them for the first time. What's the statement you want to be making? So we're learning to dress with intention. And I'm creating a lineage to my work. And then we have the first painting class where I have a group of women who are learning to paint. Like they get a picture of you and they learn to paint your colors, right? And they have to get the right pink and they have to get the right color of your eyes. And it's really a miracle. It's such a privilege to paint colors because it's so fundamental to the human creation that the pigment, right, is what puts us into physical form. And so
if I was going to meet you and I was painting your colors, would you kind of said it all, but would you summarize it? I mean, what that would bring both of us or the universe? What part of the
okay, so
purpose of
we
that?
would first, so let's go back to the triad. So we would paint your hair and your eyes and your skin. So we have the hair is the foundation, the eyes are the mirror of the soul, and the skin tone is fellowship and affinity, self-love. So we have those three. And there's when we put those down, there's a certain quality. And the color you're wearing today has a brightness to it. So if you have a brighter skin tone, then the other colors I'm going to give you are going to have a certain level of brightness, right? If you had darker eyes, then we'd be looking for darker, deeper colors. So the hair, skin, and eyes sort of set up the tonality for the rest of the colors. And the rest of the colors come from a harmony that we recognize in Mother Nature. So we have,
Excuse me, Jennifer,
yeah.
if I'm painting you, I'm learning to identify how color works. And then am I learning to understand the colors and how they might impact me and you, yourself, and then the universe? Is that the goal
Yeah,
of the
that's
painting?
it. Yeah.
Anything else?
So let's say you said to me, I have a meeting. I'm going to really support a really dear friend of mine. Okay, well, we have the skin tone, which you're wearing, which is fellowship. And then we might say, okay, your support color is a shade of blue, and you might wear those two shades together, right? So you're being supportive and intimate with your friend, right? Like fellowship, right? There's that sense of kindness, right, that you're talking about.
So it sounds like the classes or the coaching you're offering now, they've evolved. So this is this a little bit a new.
I think, when I started in the late 70s, early 80s. It was more about power dressing at that time, right? And now I feel like the world is more interested in fellowship and relating and community and teamwork, right? So a lot of people are saying, well, I used to want to know my power color, go in and get a raise, but what about my support color? I need to be supportive to my family, or there's a family reunion, or, whatever activities are important to you in your life. It's learning to dress in a way that's supporting the intention or the purpose of your day or the meeting or your life. Yeah.
So if when I take your class, will I also learn the colors mean fellowship or power? Or I would also learn what colors
Yes.
signify. Yes.
And also the color combinations, right? So let's say I wore this purple, but I put it with black, then that would be too heavy. So I've got to learn, if I'm going to do purple, I'm adding this white, which brings in my hair, right? So let's say you get dressed and you're wearing blue jeans and then this top, and then you say, wow, I'm missing the brown of my hair. Where are my brown shoes and my beautiful brown pearl necklace, right? So that what you're doing is and any time you're getting dressed, you're repeating the coloring that you have. Yeah.
So in your chapter, you also explain the different colors like spring and fall. Well, that was fascinating to me.
Yeah, I think, Mother Nature gave us this template for returning to who we really are, right? And so she gave us the energy. So let me hold them up and I'll describe them. So the spring is all about new beginnings, sunlight, energy, joy, easy to be with, the girl next door, um, lighthearted, flirtatious, fun-loving, um, clarity, a certain amount of simplicity. And so that's all about sunlight. Then the twilight, this is the summer, you can see the colors are more blended. Um, I can't really use even the same tone of voice to talk about this because it's gracious and subtle and refined, and the colors are more blended. This is the divine feminine, the divine feminine and masculine. So this is more the researcher, the psychologists, the therapists, because they have the power of listening and they understand process. So this is twilight. And then we move to the fire, and the fire is all about harvest and generosity and Thanksgiving and win-win and leadership and right the fire to get all the crops harvested. And then the winter is all about reflection, right? The new year, new beginnings, living from our higher self, our higher purpose. The moon is the mystery of the universe.
Are you a
So
winter? Are you a
yeah,
winter?
I'm a winter. And so we realize, like, I was brought up to be this, right? That I'm really this. And so that was a huge relief, right? Because trying to be spring was really not not the best way I could be in my life. And it was stressful because I wanted to be the cheerleader like my mom and uplifting. And I was more the brooding artist. And so when I had my colors, I said, well, embrace the brooding artist, right? And so that in itself, that level of self-actualization gave me more freedom, right? Before, because I tried to be the girl next door, it just kept resisting my potential. So the universe gives us this key to ourself, gives us our inner light. So we have the sunlight, twilight, fire, or moon, gives us our individual coloring, right? And gives us a life, this choice to live a life of purpose.
When you were describing the colors, when you're describing them, I was thinking with each one, oh, I'm that as far as my character, and I'm that and that. So I was kind of a mixture of.
Yes, I think in the human experience, we're all of it, right? However, in the spring, which is too much for me, but I can present my inner child, right? That would be spring-like. For summer, this would be the feminine side, the softer side. The autumn would be my more masculine, right? And then the winter is, in a way, the higher self, the higher purpose. So we are all of them in the human experience. That's why when I'm describing them, you can relate to them all. But you and I were designed physically very differently, right? So how do I belong to the all of the universe, knowing that there is this sense of belonging? I wasn't thrown here by mistake. So if I have this belonging, I belong, and my gift is in the moonlight. And yet I have all these different aspects of me that get to be expressed at all. So we get to have it all, right? But I'm very purposeful. Like if I were to say, okay, inner child, I probably wear overalls, right? And my tennis shoes and a fun, denim jacket. Um, if I were to be my inner male, I might wear a fun vest over, a shirt and, of some trousers and Oxfords or something. I mean, that's why we get to have all these different ways of dress. But I'm still dressing all of those aspects of myself from a place of clarity and authenticity.
That's just, that's so cool. I'm kind of
I know,
speechless
right?
because, yes, it's just so wonderful.
It's a
Um,
great love story, really, that's been given to us, but we get to choose whether or not we want to follow our own design and our own self. And I think those words of kindness and um, caring and nurturing are really key. Like you make a commitment to nurture yourself and be kind to yourself by wearing your own coloring and not trying to be somebody else, because that takes a lot of energy. you know.
So you had mentioned a moment ago about dressing intentionally. So if you're feeling your inner child needs support, is that what you mean? Or I
Yes,
understand if I'm going
yes,
to present in front of people, I want to know what I'm presenting or what is the
right.
goal of
Now,
this.
it's interesting that presenting, because I hadn't really met you yet, really.
Right.
Um, so, or it may have been more in a group context.
Yes.
So it's interesting that I picked my support color. This just like I felt into it and this felt right. I could have been in a power color, but when I felt into that, like you're feeling into something, like what feels right for me. So I'm kind of going inside. Okay, what kind of resonates? And the support color is what felt right. And what was so cute is when I was at the gym today, my trainer was wearing purple. And we everywhere we went, people would say, "Oh, the twins wearing purple." People really noticed and commented on what we were wearing. It was very sweet.
So sometimes if I'm having a cranky day or I just, hmm, um, color might help me be
Yeah.
or
Like, what
myself
do
or
I
feel
feel like
better.
I really need right now? What would feel uplifting? What would feel comforting? Right. So when you ask that question, well, comforting would be the skin tone, which is what you're wearing. Uplifting, you might say, wow, want to feel passionate about life. Well, maybe I'll try on my red, right? Or I really want to be out there in the world. I'm really wanting to do that today. Wow, I'll wear my power color. So that might be a stronger blue for you. That's what's so exciting is that all the aspects of our coloring communicate something different. And that's very exciting. Most people don't know that that's a possibility.
So if I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling grumpy, I
Mhm.
can choose a color that might uplift me. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool, man. Very cool.
You can change morning, then you can change in the afternoon. You can change it.
How fun. Oh, that's wonderful. So when I spoke to um, Leslie, your
That's
assistant, she's lovely, by the way. Lovely, lovely. Um, she said you're writing a book, I believe.
yes, I'm very excited.
Tell us about
That's
that.
your essence. So it's covering because I've been in spiritual psychology since 2010. My teacher is going to be writing either a chapter or a foreword. She's, reading the book now, but it really covers the psychology, some the attitudes of dress that we've had where we kind of lose ourselves. Did I dress in kind of resignation? Did I always dress in a uniform? Right? Did I dress as a rebel? And just covering the psychology. We're going to work on the sacred geometry, right, of the body as well,
Oh,
and
wow.
cover how to do the colors, how a palette is done, and the color relationships, what the colors mean which is what we've been talking about. So it's really over 40 years of my working with people and really honoring all my clients who really taught me, right, about essence. Yeah.
So you have to make sure we know so we can support your wonderful work and
Thank
you
you. Yeah, it will be
please.
out in July, and
Okay.
I'll be doing a book signing in Santa Fe.
And why did you choose Santa Fe?
I love it. I was there last summer and just had such a wonderful reception. I mean, it's such an art world, and it's a very ancient culture in terms of our country, right? So Um, I love going back there and was invited back. And of course, I'll find some places in Los Angeles as well. And, all the wonderful Zoom conferences allow that too. So it's a way of getting the word out that, I just want people to know they're perfect the way they are and they're a work of art. And that however they're created is the expression of their uniqueness, right?
Oh, wonderful. So we'll be your groupies. Please allow us to meet.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, what a joy. I feel so honored by your receptivity and so aligned with what you do as well. So it's just been an honor to be with you.
Thank you. It's actually, thank you so much. I feel the same. Um, do you have any other things we should Oh, I want to ask you if you have a couple more minutes. You touched on sacred geometry about a shape, so it sounds like
Yeah,
you.
it's about looking at the shape of the face.
I see.
So we do the shape of the face and the features. So that helps. So it's, let's say your face is more of an inverted triangle and you want to buy a pair of earrings, and then you buy a teardrop earring and it matches the design of your face. Or you're an inverted triangle and you do a V neckline. Or today, both of us are filling in the neck. So from the base of the neck to the top is anybody who can wear chokers and turtlenecks and high collars, and all of this is around the face, and the collar that you have on fills in the neck. That's what we call a high focus. So how to measure the necklines and the shape of the face, how to buy earrings. When you have a long face and I have a square jaw, right? So let's say we wanted to buy a coffee table. We're going to buy an oval coffee table for you, or rectangle. Or for me, my features are a little more rounded than yours and square. So I would do a square coffee table or a round. That would be the shape of our watch, right? It would be the vertical would be the way that you frame a lot of your pictures. If you're tiling a bathroom, for example, you're going to look for vertical tiles. I'm going to balance with the square. So it's fascinating how the geometry of the body informs the design that we pick for ourselves.
So it sounds to me that I'm not only getting from you the color and kind of my essence, but not just what I'm wearing, but my whole life.
Yes.
So you're providing so much value for what you're doing.
Yeah,
It's very cool.
everything that you choose that has color in physical form is matched up to you. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. What is the name of your book?
It'll be called Dressing Your Essence, or Dress Your Essence. And of course, our essence is our essential being, and understanding the inner light, which I just showed you, and understanding the psychology of color, which we have covered together. Lots of pictures. Actually, what I'm wearing is part of the cover of the book. So yeah, we picked the purples. We had several choices, and everybody voted for this. I think it's that grand dame, right? A look, which is fun to do, right? When you're older, when you're a woman of wisdom. Yeah.
So your background must be your palette as well. Your
Yes, it's the gold of
green.
the eyes. This is the neutral of my reds. I have different reds. This would be the copper and the bronze of my eyes, going with the amber color as well. Yeah. So
So
um,
when Donna first spoke to you about writing a chapter in Courageous Changemakers, she said, "You can't believe it, Sue." She was Everything went together and it was just perfect and it just popped and it made me want to be with her. And she said
aw,
it was just so amazing. It wasn't just her hair, her face, or her shirt, but it was everything. So
everything.
that's so awesome. So
Yeah,
awesome.
we are everything. I think when you commit to being a work of art, like then we get to be the artist of our lives, and we get to be creative. And for a lot of women, they want to explore their femininity. And I think those are the people that get attracted to the work. And a lot of people also in transition, where you're kind of saying, well, gee, what do I want? Who am I now? And what do I want to do next in my life? And that's an important place where we can make a difference.
It kind
Yeah.
of goes to, if you've got a few more minutes, one of the questions you talked about color helping people perhaps who know their purpose.
Mhm.
So they know what they want to do, what they believe their purpose is, and then the color augments or supports that. Does it work in the reverse sometimes as well? So that when you know your colors, you understand what your purpose is? Can it be both?
Yeah, I think especially the seasons, like the springs, because they're so naturally gregarious and delightful, because it's their basic nature, they don't necessarily think of it as a gift. So they find out, wow, I have this freedom and my inner child is valuable and I don't have to put her down anymore, right? And I can be expressive. So I think there's a validation when you understand what your season is. It gives you permission to be in a new way. And I have many summers who have become therapists, who become artists, where they felt really validated. Some were leaders of companies and they started to have a different leadership style where they were more supported, right? Because the summers are about being supportive. The autumns, I think, really own their own power, right? Because they're the strongest woman, the lioness of the jungle is pretty strong. So I think they own that and lead in a way through their warmth, right? And their sense of being grounded. They understand, wow, I'm the foundation here. You know, all these other seasons are, the moon is more distant, you know, the summer is diffused and the spring is animated. So I realized, wow, I'm a really grounding force, and there's a ownership of your gift in a new level.
I see. A
Yeah.
moment ago, Jennifer, you talked about your education, your background, and also your university. And I'm not going to
Yes.
remember exactly the words. Would you talk about that a
Yes.
moment?
Yeah, I began in liberal arts and was in art history and sociology, and was really fascinated by groups of people and how they made choices and how people decided about their life and their life patterning. And then I went into retail at Bloomingdale's, which was really a good training in a way of what not to do, right? Because it was based on image, but that was good. And then in 2010 is when I started in spiritual psychology. And I thought, I don't know, I thought, oh, I'm going to learn about all these wise people and they're going to fix my life, right? And yet, I think what I learned more about was the idea that I can heal my life. And that's the way that we have the power to heal ourselves. And so, through these different processes, which is seeing the loving essence, heart centered listening, responsibility, choice, forgiveness, we worked the principles ourselves and then worked it through with our teacher. But it was, we were responsible for our own process. And so to bring that to beauty and self-love is a very empowering thing. And so that's why I got permission. I'm trained. I have a certificate to train and facilitate people. And I participate tithing back to the University of Santa Monica because I really want their principles to get out in the world, because people feel more identified as themselves. They feel more inner peace. And between that and colors, they feel more of themselves.
Wow. So with your business, you do individual, is
Yeah,
coaching the
I
right
do
word?
individual sessions that are about 3 hours. So when you come, you bring your makeup and we look at 10 outfits and we look at your eyewear. That's the geometry of the face, determine your eyewear. And then we have 30 pages of design and we do the colors, and then you get a free follow-up with us with a group of people. We have a Facebook membership where people tune in every month. I had a woman who's decorating her home, right? She's checking in with us. This is the tile I'm thinking of for the bathroom. She's an autumn. She has an autumn son, a spring daughter, and a spring husband. So integrating all those colors.
Oh, wow.
How do you integrate a family with the colors is what we're working on.
Right. So you do the individual sessions, excuse me, and then also you talked about your group of 12
Yeah, the
ladies.
membership is where we meet once a month and you take pictures of your project and you post them and then we review. So someone says, you know, I'm going on a family trip. These are the outfits that I'm packing. We have a woman who's going to Africa, right? And so she's getting her outfits ready for what she's going to take. It's very fun. It's like, okay, this is my life. Let's
My
live it
goodness.
out.
Right. This is so wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
you say we. Do you work? You must. I know Leslie is your
Leslie's the enrollment manager. So I'm the one that does the colors. And then I said I have 3 people in training right now. And then we have this master's class, which is 9 months long. And there's 12 women this year. Last year we had 11 women. The maximum is 12. So I'm going to try to do that a couple more years.
how would the listener find out about what you offer?
Well, I think to just go to Jennifer Butler Color, there's a lot of free videos and you see a lot of before and afters, and then you can call Leslie and have kind of a private appointment with her to see if the work is resonant with you. It's not for everybody. I think you have to have that courageousness, right? To say, okay, it's time. I want to really be myself. And then that sort of leads into people finding us.
Uh, we're so honored that you you have written a chapter in Courageous Changemakers. Why did you decide to do that?
Well, I was in Spain, and Veronica was also part of the book, really said this would really make a difference. And I thought, I would love to put beauty, in as a healing art, right? And share the transformation that I've experienced with my clients all these years. So I'm grateful to you that it's been put in the right context, right? Which is personal transformation, and that I'm in this book with all these remarkable people who have amazing stories to tell. So I'm very grateful. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. It's pretty interesting. We've read and read and read and proved, and every time I read it, I'm like, thank goodness for everyone who's in the book. And I think when I tell people which chapters to read, I'm not supposed to do that.
Well,
But
kind of where they're resonant in their own journey, right? Would be probably relevant. I think we mentioned before, people in transition. I had a woman said, my children are growing, they're leaving the house. I want, who am I now? Right? A woman was, completing a marriage of 25 years. So it's really at that place of transition where we can really make the biggest difference with people. So that's when they usually resonate with the work that we do. Yeah.
I've owned a business and been the business development person for 25 years. And then on the side, I'm like, well, I think I'm going to start a business and I'll be a sales coach. But you know what? It doesn't really it's what I know. And that's why I chose it, but it's not really what's resonating the most. So I'm kind of adrift right now of
Okay.
what's next. And so I don't know, but this sounds like it would really help me pinpoint it. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it does, because it looks at what is the gift you are to the planet. And also it's interesting being with you because you have a very loving way of questioning.
Oh,
In a way it's kind of coaching, right? I think you have the gift of coaching.
yeah,
Um, and obviously sales can be part of that, but it's done from a different place within,
yes,
right? Where we're looking at what is the best in ourselves.
yes.
And we have some people where they've called and we've said, I think you need an image consultant, and that's not really what we do. We're into authenticity. And so it hasn't been right for some people. So I think even that delineation of what we're really good at from our higher self, right? As you said, we all have different kinds of training. I was an excellent salesperson at Bloomingdale's.
I
I was
bet.
amazing because I loved everything. Uh, but to have this discernment about who I am and helping other people make choices and save thousands of dollars and decorate a home that they feel comfortable in and dress with confidence when they go out in the world. I think that inner confidence says a lot about the work.
Okay, I'll use a word that's weird because I read spy novels all the time. I'm so gobsmacked with what you're talking about and the change you're making. And so I'm
Mhm.
very grateful. And
Yeah.
I guess I want you to know how much I value what you're doing, and I'm honored
Yeah, thank
by
you.
knowing you and that we're collaborating. So that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
So
a partnership. When the colors are done, you're making the agreement to show up as yourself, and I have the profound honor, right, of reflecting that back to you. So
is
it's
it
definitely a partnership. Yeah.
so do you I know in other coaching programs that are absolutely different than what you're doing, you have to make a commitment in advance. So when we sign up for a class or a session with you, do you ask the same? Show up, do your work, do your
Yes,
painting.
and we looked at, like, a lot of people will write their intentions. So I'm doing a young girl in a few days, and she's really looking at, this is where I'm at in my life. This is where I'm at in my relationship. But most people really they use the word, I want to be expressed. I want to be myself. I want to know who I am. And to realize that colors can define that is pretty, a transformational statement, right? And people are really being willing to change to be more of who they really are, right?
Wow. Is there anything you would like to leave us with
Oh,
besides all
wow.
this wonder wisdom?
Yeah, I think just realize that we get to be the work of art now, and we get to be the walking celebration of our lives, right? To know that that's real for you, for all of us.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very, very, very much. Um, it's just been a pleasure and an honor. So
Thank you.
thank you so much, Jennifer.
All right. Bye-bye.